Hi guys, well the warm weather went, now we're back to normal. It's snowing, it's cold in the shop, but just about manageable to get something done. Hi guys, bit of a face-to-face for a change. Usually you hide my ugly mug. Just earlier today I was checking up on some YouTube vids and watched one by Halligan, Greg I think it is, and as happens so often, it was inspiration for doing something myself, just another project. So what it involved, and it's pretty simple, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before. The Toolpost, the Shah's Toolpost here, which has normally got the nut on top, and the nut is on a centre drawbar, shall we say. And what he came up with, and I don't know whether I've got enough material actually, I haven't even checked. The idea was to replace the nut with a top boss and handle so that you can loosen and tighten just quick as wink without using a wrench, and it seemed pretty logical to me. However, let me just come in a little bit tighter. However, the drawbar, through rod, whatever you want to call it, it's metric, which was predictable, and just checking the sizing on that, yes it is, it's 14, and the thread, again just checking, the thread there is 1.5. So what I'm going to do is get a 14 by 1.5 tap. It's the one thing I'm missing, apart from half a brain sometimes. I thought I had one actually. I had a helicoil kit, but that was a 14 by 1.25, so that's out of the question. The other option was to make a new drawbar and use a SAE thread, but that seemed like way too much hassle because I'd have to make a new T-nut. And I had to modify the T-nut that came with the thing originally with a lot of effort. So I've ordered a tap, and prior to that I'll probably, if it's not too darn cold, I'll make a bit of progress preparing for the use of that, and just take you through the project such as it is. But again, thanks to Halligan for the inspiration. Very logical, almost obvious type of thing to do, but it certainly strikes me as being pretty handy. Well, here's a whoopee moment. I haven't got the 1.5 inch, which is what Halligan used. This is 35mm, so it's not a huge lot smaller. I don't know whether you can see that purple colour code on there. This is an old steel from UK. It's the lead bearing type, which is very nice for machining. So I think we'll use that, take a chunk off it, machine a taper, and do much the same as Halligan did. So we'll get to that as soon as I get a chance. Right, this is still the thinking, planning phase. Halligan made his new, this is actually very much like what I'm going to make for this one. Virtually a duplicate really. This is 1.5 inch high, 1/2 inch taper. Now the taper on this, I call it 15 degrees. Depends on your reference, it's 15 or 75. From the top there 75, if you take that as an included angle it's 15. So that's a pretty close match to this one actually. So we're going to have to use probably much the same, maybe a slight increase in angle just to kick this up a bit. And the main thing is to be sure that we don't foul up with that. So we'd be coming out from the top I would think probably we're probably going to come out at a slight increase, maybe 20 degrees instead of 15. Get clearance for this and set it up so that we operate over this area probably. I like that idea, just hadn't occurred to me before. And this is what I used on the 4-way Toolpost project, so we'll do something pretty similar. Now this bar here, the threaded bar, that's actually 3/8 above the nut, and in total from there to here is 1 1/8. Quite feasible, I think, to lose 1/4 inch off that. Don't think we need more. 1/4 inch off that, that'll bring me down to 7/8 for the thread depth, or 7/8 minimum for the thread depth, save a bit of threading. And then this piece of 35mm is a little bit, I'm trying to remember now actually, just a minute, where's my vernier? This was actually made out of 30mm. So scaling up, this is probably going to be fairly okay. Make it nice and meaty. And I've marked that off just over 1.5 inches because we've got to face it yet. And Halligan actually cut his slice off his 1.5 inches to work on as a small piece. In this case, I don't think I'll do that. Although this doesn't run dead true, I'll take about 5 thou off the outside just to get it on centre, and we can then drill through for tapping size, which incidentally I don't have a 12.5, which is what Halligan used. He bought one specially, but as usual it's a case, what have I got? And I've got here, just checking if I can read it, it's 3164. It's not the best of condition drill, it's got a bit of damage on it, but I think if I use it carefully, it's got good facets. That will in theory leave me 8 thou shy of a tapping size, and if necessary I can use a real mini boring bar just to get out to the correct size instead of having to spend money on one specific drill, which I thought I had actually, a 12.5. I've got a slot somewhere marked 12.5, but I can't find the drill. So that's where we're going to go. So I'll start some work on this soon, despite this wretched cold weather and snow, and get something made up. I'm just going to get a centre drill in, and then we'll get a hole drilled. At the moment, to tidy up the OD, because I only want to take a light cut, I might as well just pop the centre in. Although it's a pretty rigid piece, but it always helps a little bit. I'll just take a hand-fed skim cut to clean this up. It'll need a few thou because it's not running, or wasn't running, quite true. Make a mark there where I'm probably going to try a plunge on the parting tool. I'm going to try and do the taper on reverse. Might waste a bit of material, but I think it may work. Oh, I forgot to turn the video on then. I was just getting the drilling done I haven't checked the diameter yet, having used this 3164, which I think it was 3164, yeah. Let's see where that leaves me. Right, as expected, I'm a few thou undersize. So I'm just going to use this little fella and just get that out to the correct tapping size. Got about another thou and a half to take off, so it'll be a very squeaky singing cut. Let's see what we got here. It's too small for my telescope gauges, so I'll just go for a tight fit on the vernier. This vernier tends to prove pretty reliable. So 49. It's supposed to be 4921. I'm just trying to read this close up. It's actually 492, which is, hang on a minute, 492, that's right. I'm not worried about tenths on this. It is 492 on the money, actually. I'm going to take another fraction of a thou off, just a clean up cut. Now I've just taken a light cut there to get a lead-in chamfer for threading, and we've got to break this edge. I'm going to try something here because I want to be able to get my taper whilst I've got the whole piece in. I've popped the tail stock live center in there just to give a bit of support. I'm going to run the parting tool down, I don't know, 1/4 inch, something like that, and then move along and repeat it. I think I've got the feed pretty low, so I've just taken a light cut. It seems to be coping all right. We'll just get some oil going. See if that's going to be about deep enough. I think I want to come in, I'll come in a bit more than that. Basically, if I take 2 cuts, it should give me enough clearance to get the taper cut that direction. That's taken me up to 5 on the dial, so we'll go to something approximating that. Just move the carriage up. I might even take 3 bites actually, just for clearance sake. That's close to couldn't get the damn nozzle quite set up right. take one more cut on that, as it's cutting pretty well. Let's try and get this wretched thing where I want it. There we go. Oh, sorry about my hand again. Alright, let's clear up nice little chips you get from this insert. It actually gives quite a nice clean cut. As long as you get the feed right, not too aggressive. Hopefully that clearance will be enough. I think it will. I'm going to give it a try, just see if I can get this taper on here, and once that's done, cut that off and face it and finish, and then I'm really just waiting for the tap so I can cut the thread. But I can make a handle. I'll probably do that at some point before the tap arrives. It's below freezing in here, by the way, in case you're interested. Actually, you can't really see the taper very clearly from that camera angle. Anyway, I'm going to complete the taper almost to the end, and I'll just come back with the last bit. Well, I've got a pretty precarious camera angle here, but I'm going to give it a try. I'll just carry on with the, as long as there's not too much vibration, I'm on the headstock now. Take one final finishing cut on here. It's not really necessary, but take a slightly slower hand feed on it. Try and get a nice finish. Alright, well that's done okay, and that triple plunge with the parting tools left me lots of space to play with. Not quite enough to break that edge and chamfer, which I'll do later. I think my small parting tool here will take me off for that, to save cutting it in the bandsaw. So I'll try and part that off, and we can go ahead and drill here for the operating handle. I think I'm going to go, I've got a 3/8 rod, and I think I'm going to go 3/8 16. Fairly convenient. Needs an 8mm tapping drill. So I'll probably do that both ends of the rod and make a little piece of scrap to suit as a handle end. So let's just see what we can do here. Check my feed. Pretty fine on that, which is what I used last time. So we'll see how it goes. much I've got left. Trying to see what I'm doing here. I think I can break that off actually. I think I'll do that and then just face it. Okay, that came off fairly well. At least I had the space to get in with that small parting tool. It's an insert type, as you probably have seen, and it's not very good for reach. I need a larger version. I've actually rather got to like these insert parting tools. I got this one for a special job a long time ago, and I have a few inserts left, and it does do quite a nice job as long as I get the feed sensible. I don't really need to do this, but I tend to, if I remember, to try and leave a workpiece faced off, ready for use another time. Just cleaning it up. Okay, well that can come out. Now we've got to put the little piece in the chuck and try and get it to run something approximating true. Yeah, I've actually got, as I'm using 3/8 rod, and I've got myself 5/8 plus, I don't know, 10 or 20 thou. So that'll give me an 1/8 each side of the 3/8 when it's fitted. So I think we'll just clean this up. It's not quite, sorry, I'm fiddling here. Yeah, it's not quite running dead true. This old chuck, I must take it down and clean it up. But basically it's extremely worn, very, very hard to get natural centering on it. I'd love to get a new one, but they're pretty pricey numbers these days. It's only a simple facing job, but that's got quite a nice finish anyway. This free machining stuff does at least give a slight edge on finish. It's time I cleaned this lathe up again too. It's got chips everywhere. I just want to cut this edge, so I'm just going to set the tool over. Well, you're not going to see much here, but I'm just touching off the edge here to give myself a bit of chamfer. Alright, that'll work. Just do a little bit of finish on it whilst it's in the chuck. I only put that this bit of rag under because the abrasive paper does tend to shed grit, and I try to keep that off the ways, or the rails as I often call them. Alright, I think I'm done with that now until I can just check mentally. Yep, I can come out. Alright, so that's all we've got so far. So we've got to drill this for the rod handle, and that's got to have the thread put in it.